When I'm asked to solve quadratic equations, I can either do this by factorising or by using the quadratic formula. And the key part of the question, so I know which one to do, is to spot that if it asks me to give my answers to 3 significant figures or so many decimal places, is that definitely requires me to use the formula. Okay, so let's bring up the formula that's given to you on page 2 of the exam. You need to remember on this question that these numbers are your A, B and C values, and always start by writing these down. In this case, A is 2, B is negative 10 and C is positive 5. Now I'm going to fill in the equation. Now when I'm putting my numbers into this equation or into this formula, I need to be very careful with two parts, and I'll highlight these in green. I need to be careful with the negative B and I need to be careful with the B squared. Everything else I can just substitute in, being careful that I'm just following the routine. So negative B, well, negative 10 makes positive 10, plus or minus. The square root of B squared, well, negative 10 squared means negative 10 multiplied by negative 10, which is normal positive 100. For the rest of the question, I'm just going to fill it in. Minus 4 times by A times by C, all over 2 times A. As long as I've done that, the question will now come out correctly on my calculator. Notice how the whole part of the question is over 4, not just the bit under the square root. And notice how the only things I've worked out so far are the negative B and the B squared. Note that this will always be a positive value. Put that into your calculator, once with a negative and once with a positive. So at this point here, put it in once with a positive sign here and once with a negative sign here. You'll get two answers. So my positive answer, or at least the answer where I substitute it in with the positive sign here, the add sign, is that x equals 4.43649. It does ask me to write it to 3 significant figures. Don't round it before writing your full answer down. 3 significant figures, remember. 1, 2, 3. Line down. Is that one 5 or more? Yes, it is. So I'm going to round that to 4.44. The answer when I put in a minus sign into this part of the equation here on my calculator, this time gives me an answer of x equals 0.56350. Again, don't try rounding it until you've written your whole answer down. Remember that 3 significant figures is 3 numbers from the first number that's not a 0. So 1, 2, 3, line down. Is it 5 or more? Yes, it is. Therefore, my other answer is that x equals 0.564. I'm just going to make it really obvious which part of this answer, of this whole solution, is my final answers. Okay, one for you to try now. Pause before you see the answer. Okay, so start by writing down your A, B and C values. In this case, A is 3, B is negative 8 and C is 2. Substitute into your formula, noting to take care with the first 2 elements, the negative B and the B squared. So x equals negative 8 makes 8, plus or minus the square root of B squared, well, negative 8 squared is 64, minus 4 times by A times by C, all divided by 2 lots of your A figure. Put this into the calculator, once with a plus here and once with a minus. And this gives me the two solutions, 2.39 and 0.279. Just note that when you put the positive and negative sign in at this point in the question, it doesn't mean that one answer's got to be positive and one's got to be negative. In this case, both the answers are positive. So don't confuse yourself with your signs assuming that. Just be careful to make sure your notation just clearly states that the answer that you get on your calculator.